Hi guys, welcome back. So in the last video, we added that part where we could log a user in. By log a user I mean we created a new user in our Cognito user pool and then use that specific user to log in and then make requests to our GraphQL API. There we could add a new post and then we could view the list of all the posts that there were. So what we are going to do now is we are going to do the same thing from the front end. By that I mean that we are going to log in a user, as in sign the user up and then log in from our app. And then once the user is logged in, I'll make the requests to fetch whatever data we need, right? So for that, let's get started. So in our app, you'll see that if you have cloned it, the link that there is, you'll see that I have screens. So for each screen, so the screen that we're going to use right now is the login screen. Login screen also has sign up. So basically what we want is to have all the values, the email, username, password, all stored in a state, and then use these values to make a request. So what request? Yeah, this is the login screen that we have. These are the text fields. Where are they? Yeah, text fields. I'm storing them. The email text field will only show up if it's a login page. So yeah, all that is done. So right now what we need to do is once we click on the create button here, it should take me it should not take me to the home page. It should ideally sign me up, and then once it signs me up, I'll log in and then we'll go to the home page, right? Okay, so let's take a look at what we need to do to sign a user in. So yeah, this is the auth page that we were earlier. This is not the auth that we are looking for. So let's look at libraries. We have the authentication library. Yeah, so getting started. So this is something which I've already handled when we were when we are doing Amplify in it. There we have mentioned specifically that we need cognito authentication. So we can skip this part now. We can directly go to where are we? We can directly go to this part where we can sign up, sign in, and sign users out, right? So the first step for us would be to create a user, which would be to sign a user up. So this is the code. This is all the code we need to sign a user up. Let me just copy it over the code. So login screen. Let me say async function sign up. Let me give it sign up. It would do auth dots. I need to import auth from, I think it would be AWS Amplify. Yes. So yeah, so when we say sign up, it should auth.signup username and password. I need to get the username and password. So I think I'm saving them here. I'm saving email. Yes, username, password. Yes, all of them are in my form state. So let me just get them from here. I'll get the username, password, and email from state. So guys, this videos, I think I assume that all of you have a basic understanding of React Native, of how to store input values into the state and then use those values for making requests. So I'm not going to go into that. This is specifically related to AWS Amplify and AppSync. So yeah, we're going to skip that. So yeah, anyways, I've got username, password, and email. So I do not need phone number. It says AWS Amplify cannot be found. That is because we did not install it. So yeah, remember when we were doing the Amplify in it, we created our app, we created the Amplify instance and we did everything, but we skipped this part where we actually need to install these Amplify libraries as well. This is the basic setup that we need to do. So yeah, let's do this. I'm using Expo, like I said. Let me just copy this and then install these over here. This is, I think there are two instances. Yeah, this will install everything for me, and then I'll need to do this configuration. So this configuration file would ideally go into the main app.js or index.js as in the starting point of your application. So for me it's app.js, so that is where I'm going to put it. Give me a second. Yeah, I've done that, so yeah, that should do it for me. Okay, so we'll wait for the npm install to finish up and then we'll continue. Okay, so the npm install was successful. Let's see if reloading it now works. It should work. We go back to a login page. So now what we'll do is we'll put in a couple of users. We'll try to add a couple of users and see if that works as expected. But Expo is having some issues. Let me see. Or maybe I need to start my app again. That's because I just added a new dependency. So yeah, this should load up pretty quickly. Yeah, so I think now the app should boot up. I had to do an npm install as in a yarn again. I don't know why. So if you guys are following along with me and you guys get stuck at the same point, just make sure you do a yarn or npm install before running the app again. So apparently installing one of those dependencies excuse me, messed up something about package.json and npm modules in general. So yeah. Okay, so now we are waiting for the app to load up. So once the app loads up, we'll get back to our integration with the authentication integration where were we were here. Yeah, so this is the call for. It's pretty simple. If you see auth, the auth class has all the functions inbuilt, so you can do auth sign up. You can also do, if you want to have confirmation, as in if you want to confirm the user's email or the user's phone number, you can do that using that as well. You can have confirm email, as in there's a confirmation call as well. Yeah, you can sign up username and code. So I think for our app we do not have confirmation as of now, but yeah, we'll add that if that's required. Custom attributes. Yes, we use custom attributes. We had email. Email is an attribute, but there are other custom attributes as well. So apart from that, we can sign in, which you're going to use. Sign in is as simple as auth.sign in. We send confirmation code. If you want to say you send an email or you send a message and for some reason it doesn't go through, you can use this API. It's called auth.resend sign up. You need to pass the username as a parameter. Sign out, just auth.sign out. Yeah, global sign out. This is pretty useful. So if you have a user who is logged in across multiple devices, as in his phone or his web, maybe a TV app if you build one. So if you want to log him out of every platform, you can use something like this, auth.sign out. So that will do it for us. So yeah, okay, I think we've got the app running. So now let's try to what is this error that I keep getting? No, it's not related to this one. Let me do a refresh and see if I still get errors. I should not. Okay, yeah, all good. Do I have debugging on? I do not have debugging on, that is fine. So yeah, let me just refresh the screen. This should come up. So now when we log the user in, we should, if it goes successfully, we should see the user log here come up here. So yeah, so it's building. Yeah, all right. Okay, so I need to give an email, so I'll just give it random email here for now. Username, that would do me. Password 123. Let's remember we need to put in 6 characters at least, because that's the rule we had. So yeah, what happens if I try to create one? Oh well, that's because sign up is not being wired up. So yeah, if show login, so there are two cases. So if I need to log in, call login API, so I'll need to call the sign in API here. So let's call sign up and refresh it and come back. Oops, sorry about that. Let's see now. This should work. Yes, once again. Okay, I think it created the user. Yes, it did. So this is the username. I think the user will have attributes. Yeah, there it is. User, this is the code delivery details. User has destination. User pool. Okay, so let's see if I can see the user, check the user in a Cognito user pool. So here I think we just have one user. Let me refresh. We should have. Okay, so here you see it's me. You can see my username. So I have been successfully added to the Cognito user pool. So now if I try to log in, it should succeed with the same username and password. So this is the login API I need to call. Let me just copy over the login API and call it from here. This is sign in. I copied sign in and auth sign in username and password. I need to destructure username and password here as well. Do not need the email here. So yeah, it should let me console log the user and call sign in. Yeah, so we are looking at the login thing. So what we are doing is we are navigating it to like routes.home. So we don't want to do that. We want to do that only after the user has been successfully signed in. So I've commented it out for now. We'll look that later. We'll come back to it later. So let me try to log in now. So this should log me in. Let's see if it's error or a success. Oops, it has failed. Okay, it's failed because user is not confirmed. So if I try to confirm this user, let me just confirm the user from here, and then if I make the same call, okay, no error now. So yeah, all right, I got it. I got logged in here successfully. So I have my email verified as well because you're not verifying this. So yeah, that's one step that we need to do, that is confirming the user. So there's a way to get around this, as in if you want the users to be auto-confirmed. So ideally what should happen is that the user would get an email or a message, and then he would put in his OTP, and then he would get confirmed. But if you want to do it yourselves and save users that extra step, so there's a way for us to do that as well. I think it's there in the triggers. We have pre-sign up triggers. Yeah, there is the pre-sign up triggers that we have. So learn more about triggers. Let's learn more about triggers. So we'll probably need to add a trigger which will auto confirm users without us having to do it manually from the console every time. So yeah, this should do it for us. Okay, let's see. Authentication is a pre-authentication, pre-sign up lambda trigger. Yes, that is what we are looking for. So I think there's an example. They have an example here where they check the user email. If the email is for a specific domain, then they auto confirm that user. But we don't want that. We just want any user to be confirmed. We don't want the user, for our app at least, to be of a specific, to belong to a specific domain here. So there was the user. Yeah, I think this was the example. Pre-sign auto confirms a user from a registered domain. So this is what we need to copy and add it to our lambda. Let us do that. Let me create a new lambda. The lambda name would be confirm user. Yes, we'll just do it from scratch because it's a simple one. We just need to do some copy paste. So I think we have already copied over the lambda concept, lambda code from there. So we don't need to check for these. The only piece of code we need right now is just this part where we just auto confirm the user. So yeah. think we need to set it to true for this to work. Okay, let me save this. And now I think I also need to mention it here. So this one would be confirm user. I should have, yeah, confirm user lambda I have. So I've saved the change here. So let's try to log in now with this user. I'll need to create a new user now because the current user that I had has already been confirmed. So let me create a new user. Let's call him John. Okay, I just created a new user. Let's see if the user is confirmed or not. It should have been confirmed. So this is the new user. User confirmed is true. So yeah, now if I try to log John in, it should just log him in without giving me any errors. Yeah, so that works. So basically what we have to do here is write a trigger lambda, as in a trigger lambda as in like we wrote a lambda which will be executed every time like a user gets signed up. This is a pre-sign up lambda. I think there are lots of triggers that you can use. So if you go through the documentation here, so for our case we just needed one, so we handle that case. So yeah, I think we are all good now. So we are able to log users in, we are able to sign users in. So we have added 3 users, I think. Yeah, we should have 3 users now. We can delete the test user that we had, right? I think this one we do not need him anymore. So let me just delete him from here. That's how we can delete it from the console, yeah, if you're wondering. So yeah, we have 2 users now. So we'll use them to create posts, update and delete. But before that, there's one part which we need to do, that is handle navigation. So what is happening right now is, I'll just give you an example of what's happening. So let me suppose I want to do this. Okay, after sign a user in, like if a user is logged in successfully, I will navigate you to routes.home, right? Okay, this should come here. If I've signed him successfully, it should ideally be here. So let me try, and when I try to log in, okay, see, it waited like earlier it just used to go through instantly, but now it waited for the promise to be resolved, as in async function to like go through before making the navigation. But there's one issue with this currently, as in after I log in I can still swipe back and come back to the login screen. So that is not something we want, right? So there are ways of disabling that. We can disable the swipe to back feature, but then on Android phones excuse me, on Android phones the issue will still be there, right, when the user presses on the back button. So to get over that, there are ways to handle this in React navigation. So let's do that. Let's open up React navigation and see how to do that. So I've already opened it up in a tab, so if you want you can do the same. So yeah, this is how we handle authentication flows. So what does it say? It says that so earlier with earlier versions, I remember in React navigation 4 and 3 as well, yeah, they had this concept of switch navigator, where you had a switch navigator, and depending on the current user state whether he was logged in or not, you can switch between navigators. So there would be one stack navigator where you would have all your authenticated flows, and another for your non-authenticated flows. By non-authenticated I mean users where they will sign up or sign in, right? So yeah, this is what they have in navigation, React navigation version 4. So they do not have stack navigation. What they do have is a pretty simpler solution, as in it's just a plain ternary operator. You see, if the user is signed in, you show the signed in stack. If the user is signed out, you show them the like the general authentication stack. So yeah, that is what we are going to do in our app as well. So yeah, let's go to our navigation file. So this is our navigator file, our app navigation. So I think login page is the one which we need to show if the user is signed in. It's not signed in, well, yeah. So Yeah, I think we should call it is signed in this. If the user is not signed in, then we show the login screen. Otherwise would be the case that the user is signed in, then we show him the actual app, right? So yeah, is there a syntax error? Okay, I think I need to wrap it up inside fragments because there are more than one JSX element. So yeah, I think that should do it, but we still do not have is signed in. Is signed in is something which we need to define. Let me define it in a state here. Signed in. So initially signed in would be false. Yeah, so initially is signed in would be false. So once the user logs in, the user gets logged in, we set the is signed in to true. So there's one issue here currently with the solution which you're trying to do is that the login is handled from a different screen, right? It's not in the same screen. So what we need to do is have a context somewhere, like pass a context to the login screen so that it knows that okay, when we are logging in from the login screen, it should propagate back, it should come back to the app navigation page. Here we should be aware that okay, the user has signed in or signed out, because ultimately the logic for showing the stacks is here in this screen, right? So yeah, we are going to do that. Let's add a context to our app now. So let me create a new file in a src folder. I'll call this authcontext.js. So I think it should be a pretty basic file. I'll just need React for this. I also need create context and use state. So yeah, let me create the context. I'll call it auth context. Created the context. Alright, so I'll need to create the provider now, as in the context provider, which I'll use later, as in use in our components to pass the context down to the children. So let me export default. I'll call it auth provider. It should return to me auth context dot provider. Yeah, and I should just render I don't need all the props. Let me just get the children here, and then I'll render all the children as they come. So yeah, I need to pass some value to the provider. So let me get that. So the values what I need is signed in and another function which will change the is signed in value. So I'll call that set signed in. So let me add that. So initially signed in would be false, and I'll pass these values here. Value would be is signed in and set is signed in. Right now my children, as in not my children, this component's children should be able to get access to these values and should be able to change these this boolean here, the false to true and then back to false when I log out. So let me come back to login screen. I'll import my context here. So auth context, I need to export it before I import. So let me just export the value from here. So yeah, I'll export auth context. Alright, so now in my login screen I should be able to get this. So when I say use context, so I need set is signed in from, okay, I need to get the context, so it would be use context alright. So okay, it cannot read set signed in of div of undefined. That is because I have not wrapped these inside the provider. So let me wrap my navigation file. Where was it? Now I'll wrap app navigation inside the context, so it should be here. src auth context. I'll use the auth provider which I had exported as the default from that function. So okay, so yeah, in my login screen I should be able to check the value of set signed in now. So let me just log this out and see if I, oh, this will be a function now, so I do not need the function. Let me see if is signed in is there. It should show false. Okay, yeah, so is signed in is false. So after the user logs in, I need to set it to true, right? So I think that's pretty simple. So this is where I'm logging in. This is the sign in page. So let me set it to true. Set is signed in to true, right? Also, I do not need to handle the navigation from here because since login screen and the home screen, they are in different stacks now. They both of them will not be mounted at the same time, so I'll get an error. Yeah, so if login screen shows up, this won't be there. So when I try to navigate to home from login screen, this would show up an error. So that is something which will need to be handled from this file from here. So yeah, at least here in our file, in our login screen, now we are successfully logging in the user and said that okay, set signed in is set to true. Now let's come back to app navigation file and handle this. So is signed in and set is signed in is not something which I'm going to use from my local state here. So is signed in would come from the context, use context. This is the auth context. Let me import auth context. Okay, use context is not defined. I need to import use context as well. Okay, so now when I log in, after successfully logging in, I should be taken back to my home page. So let me try that. Yeah, login was successful and I got routed to the home page. Now if I want to come back, if I swipe back, it doesn't work. So yeah, that is what we were trying to do, and I think that worked well. So now even if in an Android device you press on the back button, it won't go there. So let's handle sign out in the same way that we are handling sign in. So this button here, that is for the sign out. So let me add it there as well. I have the component button, not button, it's the header. This I think is the sign out button. So on press, of this, I'll do sign out. So let's copy the sign out function. It's throwing an error because it's not there. So sign out is as simple as this. I think there's a typo there. It should be sign out with the capital S. I also need to import auth from Amplify. Excuse me. Yeah. So alright, so I think this should do it. This should handle sign in and sign out for me both. But yeah, after signing out, I also need to take that case where I change the signed in value to false. So let me do that as well. I'll import use context, and then I also need to import the context from there. Let me just copy it copy it from the login screen that we had. So I don't need this signed in here in my login screen, so I won't need it in the header file as well. So inside my function set signed in, I want to say set signed in is false after the user is signed out. So let's see if it works. 1 2 3 4 5 6. Now I log in. Alright, I'm here and I can't go back after I log out. Okay, I think that worked pretty well. Let me check if I have any errors. No errors. Yeah, all good. So but there's one thing that you'll notice. Once I sign the user in, and then when I try to reload the app, it comes back to the home screen, as into the login screen. But that is not what we want, right? We want to check if the user is signed in and then take him back directly to the home screen and not come back to the login screen. So that is something which you're going to check. So Amplify auth has a lot of functions which we can use. So the one which we'll use for this specific use case is called get current authenticated user. So let's look at the docs and see where it is. The complete API. Let me open up the API. So yeah, it says current authenticated user. So this function will tell me whether the current user is authenticated or not. So what it also does is that it saves the user tokens, the JW tokens, in the async storage by itself. So you do not need to handle the saving part, the saving tokens part manually. So that is handled by get current authenticated user itself. Also, when you sign out, it clears the token by itself. So that is one thing that you don't need to worry about. So that's something which is very useful. So yeah, I'll use this current authenticated user, and then the set signed in value would be changed on the basis of whether the current user is signed in or not, right? So let's go back to our app navigation file. I need to import auth. 1 second. I've got auth here. So I'll also need to change set signed in user. Set is signed in. So let us have a function. Let us call it check user session, right? It will be an async function. So inside this function, we'll check whether the user is signed in or not, and to do that, I'll use this class current authenticated user. I'll wrap it inside a try catch block. So I'll try to get this. So update auth dot current user authentic. So let me just assign it to user so that I can log in. I can log it out and see if this is the correct user that is logged in. Okay, It says there's an error. If the user is not logged in, I should see an error here, right? So let's see what happens. So when I reload the page now, I should, if the user is logged in, I don't remember logging out, so it should ideally show me a user here, a user. Oh, it does not. That is because I'm not even calling it, so I need to call it here once the app mounts. So let me put it inside a use effect block. Use effect. I only need it to run when the app mounts, when this page mounts. So check user session. Let's see now. Okay, it's stuck somewhere. Oh, I see the log. It's this. No, my browser is too slow. I need to restart it. But yeah, now we can see that, okay, this is the user that is logged in. So ideally, if the user here is logged in, I should not show the logged in screen, and I should take him directly to the home screen, right? So that now we're going to handle it here. So if user is signed in, I will set this to true. All right, so yeah, that does it for me. Let me just close this tab and start it again. It's just taking